Good morning students and welcome back to science class. Last class we have done about some of the important questions of different type of questions, whether it's knowledge, understanding or application based, and we have seen that how to write the answers of those questions which are of 1 mark, 2 mark and 5 mark, also 3 marks. Today we are just going to discuss about the worksheets of the chapter force and pressure. So let's just go through the points which we need to remember before we solve the question answers of the worksheet. The first point, that is, what is force? Force is nothing but a push or pull. Second point, it's an interaction of one object with another object that results in a force between the two objects. Force, when applied on an object in the same direction, they add up to one another. If two forces act in the opposite direction of an object, the net force acting on it is the difference between the two forces. The strength of a force is usually expressed by its magnitude as well as direction. A force can change the state of motion of an object. A force can act on an object with or without being in contact with it. That is how we have learned about the contact and non-contact forces. When a cricket ball is hit by a batsman, then the ball moves from one place to another place. So this is a kind of example which identifies the state of the motion. Then we have friction. Friction is a force acting between the surface of the body in motion and the surface on which the body is moving. Then friction always acts on all the moving objects and its direction is always opposite to the direction of motion. This is a very important sentence and you need to remember that the direction of force and the force of friction, they are always opposite to each other. So frictional force and muscular force, they are the examples of contact forces. The force exerted by a charged body on another charged body or uncharged body is known as electrostatic force. So the electrostatic force is also a non-contact force. So in electrostatic forces we have seen that the charged bodies, they repel each other, and the uncharged bodies, they the same charge. If the bodies are of the same charge, that is both are positive charge, then they will repel each other, but if they are oppositely charged, they will attract each other. Magnet can exert a force on another magnet without being in contact with it. So force exerted by a magnet is a non-contact force. Then gravity is not a property of Earth alone. In fact, every object in the universe, whether small or large, exerts a force on every other object. So this force is known as the gravitational force. Then the next points, you see, the state of motion of an object is described by its speed and the direction of motion. So the motion of an object will always be described by the direction in which it is moving, okay, and also by its speed. The state of the rest is equal to the state of zero speed. So when we say that the body is in the state of rest, it means that the body is not having any speed. It is in a rest position or zero speed. Then force per unit area is called pressure. The SI unit of pressure is Newton per meter square. Liquids and gases exert pressure on the wall of their containers. So these are some of the important points which you need to revisit sometimes so that you can recollect what you have learned in this chapter. Then we have some multiple choice questions here. You can see a push or pull of an object is called, 4 options are there. So it's force. Then force is a vector quantity. You know there are two quantities, vector and scalar. This is not given in your book, but for your knowledge you should know that force is a vector quantity because it has magnitude as well as direction. And in next question you see atmospheric pressure. What is atmospheric pressure? This is the pressure exerted by air around us. Then next we have the SI unit of force, that is Newton. The answer is Newton. Then the fruits fall to the ground because of gravitational force. Then as we move from sea level to the mountain, the pressure will decrease. The instrument used to measure pressure is called the manometer. Okay. Then which one kind is a kind of contact force? So force of friction. Force per unit area is called pressure. Now which one is the correct among the following? You can see there are 4 options. Interaction between two objects produces force, that is correct. Liquids and gases exert pressure on the walls of the container. That is also correct. The force exerted by a magnet is a non-contact force. Magnetic force is a non-contact force. So all the three options are correct. So our correct option will be all of these. Next one, which one is not a kind of contact force? You see the options given here. The answer will be muscular force. Then which of the following is a unit of pressure? Pascal. Which force acts when we lift a bucket of water? Gravitational force. Then when we press the bulb of a dropper with its nozzle kept in water, air in the dropper is seen to escape in the form of bubbles. Once we release the pressure of the bulb, then what happens? The water gets filled in the dropper. The rise of the water in the dropper is due to the atmospheric pressure. So this is an example of atmospheric pressure. Then next you can see there are some question answers like what is meant by an atmospheric pressure? The answer is already given. You have already got the answer in the question bank. What is meant by the weight of an object? Weight of an object is the force of gravity exerted on it by the earth. This you need to write. What is meant by muscular force? This one also you have written. Force applied by our muscles is called muscular force. Then you can see next question. Two friends A and B are applying a force of 2 Newton and 4 Newton on a box in the same direction. So what will be the total force applied by them? Now both the friends A and B, they are applying a force of 2 Newton and 4 Newton respectively, but in the same direction. So here what will happen? The force will get added up as they are moving in the same direction. So it will be 4 plus 2, that is equal to 6 Newton. Give an example to show that force can change the shape of an object. So giving shape to a clay by pressing or by applying force on it, the way how we make the clay pots or any articles out of clay. Then beating a hot iron to change its shape, to give a particular shape when we beat a hot iron. Then next one you see, how would thrust on the bottom of a liquid level change if area is doubled, keeping the pressure same? So when the area is doubled and pressure remains the same, the thrust will always increase. Then in a tug of war, side A applies 10 Newton force and side B applies 8 Newton force. So both are applying force in the opposite direction in a tug of war. Which side of the rope will move? You see which party is applying more force? Group A, the side A, because they are applying 10 Newton force compared to side B, which is only 8 Newton force. So obviously 10 Newton is greater than 8 Newton. The rope will move towards the side A. An inflated balloon was pressed against a wall after it has been rubbed with a piece of synthetic cloth. It has been found that the balloon sticks to the wall. What force might be responsible for attraction between the balloon and the wall? This is an example of electrostatic force. Then next one you see, you can see here what happens to the speed of a body when a force is applied. It can increase or decrease depending on its direction. A ball is rolled on the ground and it comes to a rest after some time even though no force is applied to it. So a ball is rolling on the ground and after some time it comes to a state of rest. Even though no force is applied to it, what happens? So when it is rolled on the ground, friction opposes its motion. So frictional force will act in the opposite direction. As a result, it will come to the rest position. Then next you see, how many objects should be present for a force to come into play? At least 2 objects. What happens to the atmospheric pressure if the temperature is high? The pressure goes down, so air will move up. Then when combing your dry hair, what type of force acts? Electrostatic force. Then why is it easier to hammer a sharp nail into a wood than a blunt one? That we have already written in the question bank. You can write from there. Why do mountaineers suffer from nose bleeding at high altitudes? So here what happens? At normal level, when the pressure is high, our body also has high pressure inside it to withstand it. But in low pressure areas, what happens? Our body, they cannot control its body pressure. So what happens? There is a bleeding in the nose at high altitudes. So here you need to write the word, our body cannot control its body pressure. A blacksmith hammers a hot piece of iron while making a tool. How does the force due to hammering effect change the piece of iron? It changes the shape of the iron. So next one, Why do astronauts wear specially made suits while going to the space? That we have already done in the question bank in the last class. Then the next question is, do we feel the effect of atmospheric pressure? This is also done. No, as to withstand high pressure inside our body, also has a high pressure to withstand it, and we can not feel the effect of atmospheric pressure. So this question is also done. Then how would pressure change? If area is doubled, the force is kept constant. Then force is doubled, area keeping the force is doubled, keeping an area constant. So this is how you have to do by using the formula. Pressure equals to force per unit area. Where it is doubled, the first one, it shows that the area is doubled. So it will be 2A. Force by 2A. And then what will happen to the pressure? The force will remain constant. Okay, so in the first case it will be halved. Pressure will decrease. And force is doubled, keeping an area constant. In this case, pressure will increase. It will be doubled. Then you can see here numericals are there. Okay, so here you are asked, two objects of masses n, m, 2m are lying on an equal area. Determine the ratio of pressure exerted by them on the ground. So for both the cases you need to find the area, the pressure, and you need to do like this. For the first time, for the first one, you know this is a question which is actually given something different, which is not given in your book. There is a word acceleration due to gravity, and the value is approximately taken to be 10 meter per second square. So here the two objects, the masses are given as m and 2m. So first one will be, the force will be mass m into acceleration, that is 10. So it will be m into 10. And in the second case it will be 2m into 10. Okay. So here it is said that the area is same. So it is A. For both the case it will be A. Take the ratio 1 divided by the other. That is m into 10 divided by 2m into 10. So the ratio will be 1:2. Then name the type of force in the following cases. This is already done. Why is it comfortable to lift a school bag with broad straps than the thin straps? So here also you will see that the broad straps, they will have the less area of contact on our shoulders, and the force exerted by the weight remains the constant, so it is comfortable. So here school bag has broad straps. If the straps would have been narrow, then more pressure would have been applied on our shoulders and it would have been painful. But if it is broad, means it will have more area of contact on our shoulders, so it will have more area, okay, not less. Give two examples each of situation which you push or pull to change the state of the object. So any two examples you can give. Then calculate the weight of the body whose mass is 30 kg. Weight of the body will be, this is the formula you see, weight is equal to mass into g. Mass is already given 30 kg. G is taken to be 10 meter per second square. So 30 into 10 is 300 Newton. Okay, what is meant by thrust? Thrust is the force acting normal to the surface. It will act perpendicular to the surface. Then why is the net force of an object 0 if two forces acting on it in the opposite directions are equal? So when forces are on opposite direction, the net force will always be F1 minus F2, provided F1 is greater than F2. Now if F1 and F2 are equal, then what will happen? The net force will be 0. Why does the speed of tire increase whenever it is pushed? When we apply force in a tire to move, it gains momentum, due to which its speed will increase. Then why is the force of friction called contact force? As two surfaces rub on each other, it is in opposite direction also, so we say that it is a contact force. Why can you not lift a bucket of water without holding it? As no force is applied on the bucket, it can't be moved. If you don't apply any force on the bucket, will the bucket be moved? It cannot be moved. So we need to hold it, pull it, then only we can lift a bucket of water. Then what is the difference between a scalar quantity and a vector quantity? You see it is written scalar, vector. Scalar, it is written it has magnitude. Vector, it has both magnitude and direction. Then examples for scalar, it is given mass, speed, these all are examples of scalar quantity. And vector quantity, weight, velocity.